Hey guys, sorry about that. I'm late. 4 minutes late. My bad. I think I'm live. Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me. Crazy Kev, what is going on? Sorting and organizing cards. I love it. I was actually doing a little bit of that too. I was going through and I'm like, there's stuff that I don't even know like half the stuff I've got. I'm just going to go through and just kind of see where I'm at from an inventory standpoint. Good to see you, Kev. AJ Rose, good to see you, man. Hope all is well across the sea. Stephen Ryan. Hey, Ed. Hey, why not? Actually, unfortunately, my wife has caught the illness. So I am quarantining myself. She's quarantining herself. I'm quarantining. Everyone's quarantining in the house. Everyone's got their own kind of like wing. Not really. The house is not that big where everyone's got their own wing, but you understand my point. EL, how's it going? Philly Joe. All right, New Zealand. Yes, love it. The frozen tundra, North Dakota. Good to see you, Troy. Flea market mixtape. What's going on, guys? What do you want to talk about? Throw some topics in here. The only thing I was going to talk about a couple of different things, but I'm wide open. I was just going to kind of feed off of you guys. I almost made a Marvel card play a couple nights ago. I know if you watch Flipping Steve and Neo, they're all in on the Marvel cards. Well, I'm not as much on the new stuff, but I was looking at a 66 tops complete set of Marvel cards, and I believe that is the first set. I think I have that right. And there was two sets on eBay that were about $1,000 for a complete set, and in decent condition, which is not easy to find. And then also on those cards, there is kind of like a speech bubble where they're going to say something. The character's going to say something, and on there it's printed on the card like write in here, basically like you can write in what they're going to say type thing. So a lot of those cards, there was kids that were like writing on them, and like writing on the cards because they're writing in what the characters are saying. These were complete sets without the writing, so there's no writing on them, which is another tricky thing to find. And I was looking at it, I was like, it'd be kind of cool to buy the whole set. It's 66 cards, so it's not like it's a 400 card set, and then grade every card. Send it to SGC because of the price point, the turnaround time, and then maybe sell it. You could keep it. You could keep it long term, but you could also sell it too, or just see what somebody would pay for that for a complete graded set. And I wouldn't even be worried about the grades, just as long as they're authentic. But it would be kind of a cool piece if you had kind of that first Marvel set that was fully graded. I don't know. I was thinking about it, but then they both sold. So I was looking at it, and within an hour, they were both gone. It's like, oh, well, that was my Marvel play, and it's gone now. Corey Smith, good to see you. Brian Sherland. Yeah, Tom Brady looked like Tom Brady, although the Eagles just didn't look good at all. So I don't know if that was that the Bucs look great or the Eagles are that bad, and I think it's that the Eagles are that bad. Joseph Delmore, good to see you. What I do know is the Bucs did not want to see the Saints. They would much rather have seen the Eagles defense. I can tell you that. Ryan, good to see you, man. Branched out a bit and grabbed a 34 amalgamated press cricket card of Don Bradman. Really nice looking cards. The old cricket cards. Interesting. Yeah, I was definitely late. Sorry about that, Wicker Man. Colorado Sports Dude. Yes. How's it going? Fall Creek Collectibles. Some new people in the chat. I don't recognize Fall Creek Collectibles. Good to see you. Garbage Pail Kids, the newer stuff or the stuff for the originals from the 80s? Are you buying the old 80s stuff or are you looking for new stuff? Trevor, good to see you. Ace of 10 Pal. Darren Wall, good to see you, man. More hockey cards. Hey, what's up, Hobby Champs? Check out Hobby Champs on Twitter as well. I like to follow his Twitter. He's always got some good insights on there. Gross Bros Parodies. I don't know if I've seen you in here either, man. Is that sarcasm, John? Or are you really sad about what happened to the Cowboys? I feel like people like to hate the Cowboys, you know? I do think that there's so much buildup with the Cowboys preseason. It's always their year, you know? And then when it doesn't work out, it's like, it's like the guy on The Simpsons, that one like bully kid. It's kind of like how it goes. You know, it's like America's team that's really like kind of flopped really over the last couple of decades. Well, and I think part of it too is Jerry Jones had it so good with Jimmy Johnson and then just could not make it work. You know, if Jerry Jones would have just like taken a back seat and let Jimmy Johnson do his thing, shoulda, coulda, woulda. But Jerry Johnson was probably thinking like, I can do this on my own, or Jerry Jones, I mean. And granted, he did hire Barry Switzer, who did do it. They did win a title without Jimmy Johnson, but Jimmy Johnson built that team that ended up winning the title. So with Barry Switzer, I guess is my point there. Hey, what's up, Raul? Good to see you. So yeah, what's going on, guys? What are you getting into card-wise? Are you still hobbying? Because all I hear about in the news is how everyone's getting out of the hobby. Everyone is down on stuff. You know, what are you guys getting into? What pockets, what pockets of the hobby are you working in? I got into a new space, so football cards, so not a new space, right? So a lot of the same stuff, but all the Marvel PMG stuff got me looking at all the, the NFL PMG, now granted, like the stuff from like 97, 98 is not inexpensive. I'm literally looking at like, Cordell Stewart PMG for like $1,000. It's like, holy, but the retro stuff is interesting. Michael Ham, what's up? I need a haircut. I need a haircut badly. Yeah, I'm starting to get a little bit shaggy. What's going on, Phoenix Rising? How about them Niners? Yeah, I almost thought the Niners were gonna blow it. You kind of got that feeling. I don't know, it was weird, but then it was like, oh, they made it happen. I was a little bit surprised how the Rams completely dominated the Cardinals. Not that I thought, it was obvious that Kyler wasn't really ready for that sort of, prime time event. And the Rams are good. Like, I mean, their defense is for real, and it's playoff football now. And the thing that always happens with playoff football is defenses start showing up. That's when having a strong defense, it really, really matters when playoff time comes. You can have a great offense, but if you're going up against a great defense in the playoffs, you're going to have your hands full because they're coming for you. That was the one thing about this Saints team this year that I was like, well, if they make it in the playoffs, it's like playing with house money because the offense is decimated. There's nobody on the offensive side of the ball, but it would be kind of cool to see how far our defense could take us because it was an elite defensive squad. So that would have been the only real shot because, Taysom Hill had a broken foot or something. I mean, so it's not like we had any offensive anything going on. It would have been interesting though to see how that would unfold without any offense except for Alvin Kamara. Nice. Okay. The big three sports, low end to high end. All right. You're all in. Is it, are you vintage, modern, ultra modern, or mix? How's that looking for you? 80s to 2000s football right now. What in particular do you like flea market mixtape? Is it, is it heavy on the 80s stuff, or are you getting into inserts, like 90s and 2000s inserts, or what do you like, upper deck stuff? Because I feel like, or like the Pinnacle or, that sort of stuff was really popular as well. Let me know. I've been doing kind of a deep dive with Dakota Sports Cards Anonymous because he's also a football guy. We've been, going back and forth talking about different inserts, different things. That's been fun because, frankly, football cards, for whatever reason we talk about, they just don't get the same sort of attention that basketball and baseball cards do. But there's so much there, though. There's so much meat on the bone. So it's fun to kind of dig in and research all that stuff. Heavy on NFL Hall of Famers. Yeah. Well, and it's amazing how inexpensive they are. Depending on what you're looking for, if you're looking at defensive players or wide receivers, running backs, there's all sorts of options out there. It's pretty cool. Hobby Champs. I'm only buying all-time top 10 players from all the specific positions in the Big Four sports. Yeah. Mid-tier players. So yeah, less of the prospecting, more of just sticking with, did you make your own kind of list of the top 10? You have it broken down? That's not, hard to argue with that. That's a pretty good plan. Soccer cards and getting Team USA and a few others. Yeah. There was such a big push with what's his name, Christian Pulisic, because he's the best American player that we've got right now. And leading up to the World Cup, is Team USA even are they gonna make the qualifier for the World Cup? I haven't been following it, but I don't think they're very good, right? Stopped collecting 20 years ago, active duty Navy. Thank you for your service. I appreciate that. Looking to sell low-end star cards. How do I price them out with Fortune on price books? Are you talking about star basketball cards or low-end stars as in players that are stars? Maybe the chat can help with that one. Yeah, congrats. I know all about I grew up in the I'm an Air Force brat. I don't know if I'd call it a brat because it wasn't, I wasn't exact. I mean, it was very middle class. It wasn't very bratty. It was kind of like, I remember getting the $4 haircuts on base that, didn't even look like a human being after I was done. And it was funny. I just remember, I don't know. It was a funny upbringing, but yeah, I was traveling all over. I was born in Germany, lived in England, and then we moved to the US when I was 7. So I came over to the US with a little British accent and everything. Lost it real quick. But I came from England to Panama City, Florida. Really nice people in Panama City, but there was probably about 0 British people at that point in the late 80s. Great place though. Yeah, I was thinking that there's such a void internationally with card shows, because I do think that there's interest. Obviously, in Asia, there's definitely card interest, and Australia. There is card interest, but just no access, which really, really stinks. But it'll be interesting to see if that can kind of bridge the gap over time. Oh, okay, yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Montana, Mays, and Jordan for vintage. Yeah. Yeah, Jordan being vintage. Okay. But yeah, I hear you. The trouble with Jordan is just that, I don't know. It's like the obvious GOAT to, it's like he's the GOAT. You can't go wrong with Michael Jordan. That's true. But he has so many cards and there's so many different options. And then there's also, I think about too, all the cards coming back from him that are at PSA. If you look at on Gem Rates data, when they're looking at the athletes, they break it down with who's got the most cards coming back from PSA that are graded. Michael Jordan's always top 3, and a lot of times he's number 1. So from a supply standpoint, I kind of wonder, with a lot of his stuff, I've also wanted to get more Jordan stuff, but then I'm kind of like, you know what, I'm just going to chill out and see what the supply looks like in about 6 months, see how it keeps coming. And then see how, when the dust settles, see where it's at. 70s baseball, like George Brett rookies and stuff like that. Are you talking about, how do you mean, Trevor? You mean we'll be doing the virtual reality games, so we won't be doing console games or Nintendo Switch or any of that stuff, or the retro stuff? How do you mean? I have seen, and if you follow kind of that crypto metaverse game that's going on, for lack of a better term, but there are a lot of these new crypto metaverse type companies that are creating pay or play to earn games. So in other words, you can earn, I guess, maybe crypto tokens, or you can earn money essentially playing video games. It's an interesting idea, and I just wonder, if that evolves, if that evolves in the real world, where you have kind of strained economies, I'm just think about all the jobs that are lost to automation. I think about rural areas that are not necessarily, in, big industry areas, and they're looking for jobs. If there are these kind of metaverse gaming type, you get paid to play type things where people can actually make a living doing it or supplement income that way. That's a very interesting thing. And then globally, there's, of course, the US, I know not everybody's here in the US, but US is an extremely wealthy country. There's a lot of countries, that could use something like that to really kind of bolster a middle class, to kind of, conjure up some, kind of boost their economy. Think about all the economies that are geared towards tourism, the Caribbean, where, Jamaica and Costa Rica, they're just suffering because, cruises are shut down, no one's traveling. It's a big deal. Europeans too. I mean, Europe is, you think about all the tourist destinations in Europe, they're struggling too without those tourist dollars. So I don't know. I know I'm going off on a tangent a little bit with that, but I hope that maybe that's something to think about, something for all of us to watch. Maybe we'll all be doing the play to pay, play to earn. Play to earn is, I guess, what I'm saying. Earning money playing games. Yeah, the Star Jordan cards, Jordan is overpriced right now. Yeah, I mean, I can understand that angle. I can understand that angle. Winfield, Ozzie Smith, Yount and Brett. Yep. Robin Yount, what a beast he was. Console games hold up as collectibles. I've got the original NES stuff. I've got a few of those graded. I think I've shared that. On the channel before, but there's kind of, it's 2 or 3 parts for me. There's a nostalgic element to it. I grew up the original NES, that 8-bit Christmas movie was basically my life, just hoping to get a Nintendo. It was the biggest thing ever back then. That Nintendo was everything. And, so just those games, not necessarily sealed, but like, complete in box. I'm interested to see kind of what that looks like over time. I think people right now, they're like, oh, that's dumb. Nobody wants to collect that. I'm interested to see kind of what that looks like in 30 years when there is no box art games. There are no games in boxes, and they're all digital. That's what I think. I mean, I bought my son a game. He has he has a Switch. So it comes with, of course, like the little games, the little, tiny little games that come in a box. But I just bought him a game, that was digital, and it was a lot more convenient. And I don't have to worry about, he's 6, so he can lose them. It's like, if it's digital, it's already on there. Don't have to worry about the, losing the game or whatever. I just feel like that's like, there's not going to be little games or little like, console stuff. It's all going to be digital. I assume it just makes sense that that's where it would go. That's an interesting one. Any people remember walking around flea markets and shows with black and white newspaper typed Beckett price guides? That's funny. I'm trying to remember. Was it like your price guide inside of a newspaper, so you weren't necessarily showing that you had it? You had a Beckett with you? I haven't tried the Oculus yet. I have not tried the Oculus yet. My oldest son has tried it and said it's pretty amazing. It does kind of make you think about Ready Player One. Does it not? That movie Ready Player One, where they're all in the virtual reality game. I mean, it's where it's all going. 1,000 mint Jordan cards with plans to grade them and sell when I retire. Interesting. Very cool. I'd be interested. I guess depends on which Jordan card you're talking about. Super Bowl predictions from Tom Brady GOAT. Titans versus Tampa Bay. I'm shocked that you said Tampa Bay with your name as Tom Brady GOAT. I think the Packers are going to get over the hump and take down the Bucs. As much as Tom Brady is so legendary, I don't know. I just feel like this is the time. If Aaron Rodgers is going to do it, it's this year or bust. It's this year or nothing. But yeah, I mean, look, it won't be surprising if it's this matchup. No one's talking about the Titans. It's very interesting. It's like no one cares about the Titans, but they're good. They're very good. Yeah, I do. Because Montana had really, really good field vision. And that's something that you just can't teach. It's something that Tom Brady has too, is he sees it all happen before it's happening. He can read that defense. And Montana was in a system where he was able to, that West Coast offense. And it just gelled really well. It didn't hurt either that he had, Jerry Rice, greatest receiver of all time, but he had a good receiving core, had great line. I mean, the 49ers were pretty stacked offensively. They were. And then on defense, they had Ronnie Lott, Charles Haley at one point. Yeah, they were formidable for sure. Hey, Brian. Good to see you, man. Yeah, absolutely. This is kind of fun just to go on. Yeah, occasionally we'll just kind of throw it in and see what happens. Atari and Sega. Yeah, absolutely. I remember seeing Sega Genesis for the first time in a Sam's Club and just seeing like how fast Sonic the Hedgehog was, that original one. And it was like, whoa, what is that? Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, Beckett always had like the color. So it was, color on the cover, obviously. And then inside you had the articles, that had color. But then the price guide was all black and white, if that's what you mean. Yeah. Yeah. No, I remember that. That's same with, I mean, that's what I had too. Hold on. Where's my, do I have one down here? Shoot. I just had a Beckett. I have a Beckett in here. Oh, I don't know what I did with it. But yeah, no, exactly. It was black and white. Packers don't win this week. Okay. Okay. I kind of agree in part because he's got the one seed. I mean, you're right there. He's had opportunities where he's right there, and he's got to get that second ring to really kind of catapult himself. Just to, I don't know. He has all the talent. He can do all the stuff, but it's all right there in front of him. He's just got to take, and he hasn't been, not that it's all on him, but he hasn't been amazingly clutch in the postseason. He just hasn't. He hasn't. And I know it's a team game and everything else, but he's had opportunities. He's had a lot of opportunities. Drew Brees is kind of similar. I hate to say it. This is my guy. I'm a New Orleans Saints fan, but we've had opportunities. We've had a bunch of opportunities to win it, for him to win a second Super Bowl. Good defenses, just hasn't gotten it done. So it is what it is. Yeah, the Titans are getting Derrick Henry back, and they were doing well without him. Imagine having him back. That's it's a little scary. It's a little bit scary. The other thing too is I don't think the Chiefs' run defense is very strong. It usually isn't. Usually their strength is in their secondary, but a Titans team is going to be a tough matchup for the Chiefs. And look, I know the Chiefs' offense is a tough matchup for anybody, but that's going to be an interesting game if that happens. Chiefs Titans. Montana will blow up soon. Well, me, I'm focused in on, I know I flash this card all the time. This is just one example, but the NFL legends, a lot of the NFL legend type stuff, it's affordable compared to a lot of other stuff. Actually I had a comment earlier. I had to block the guy because he was being a little bit over the top. But he was making fun of my Barry Sanders stuff. And it's like, no, you can't come on here and make fun of my Barry Sanders stuff. And it was basically like, this guy was like, who is Barry Sanders? And it's like, what do you mean, who is Barry Sanders? He's a top 3 running back of all time. Maybe you didn't see him play, but I don't know. Like, I don't know how you missed that one. But anyway, we don't always have to agree. But if you come on just, being belligerent about it, not cool. So we've had conversations, Brad and I, for off-centered. We will have Ken Golden on. We were supposed to have him on in 10 days, 8 days, but he had a conflict, so we're rescheduling. Tomorrow we've got Dr. Beckett coming on. That's going to be a fun one. We will have Ken Golden coming on at some point. We're just like working out the date. We've got some good stuff coming on off-centered. That's on Brad, the Comeback Card Investor Show, if you haven't seen his channel yet. But join us there. That's a fun time. That's every Wednesday night, typically at 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll have Dr. Beckett on tomorrow. That'll be good. So yeah, I do have a direct line. I do have conversation with Ken, like through the messaging, but I don't know him. I haven't met him in person. The GOAT talk will have no debate. It already kind of doesn't, although Otto Graham has the same number of titles as Tom Brady. Just saying, he's got 7. No one talks about Otto Graham. I'm kind of course, I'm boosting I've got an autogram rookie card, and I've been buying autogram autos for autogram. But yeah, I mean, look, I know it was a different time back then, but again, it's like legends that nobody cares about when it comes to the hobby, and I just do not get it. NFL legends. Yeah, I just think the league kind of really, up until this year, the league has really been, and just the fan base. It's like Aaron Rodgers is on, this level. And it's like, look, I understand he does some amazing stuff, makes some great plays. He's awesome, but it doesn't change the fact that in the postseason, he hasn't really gotten a whole lot done. He does get a pass. He's kind of he's just great. And it's always blaming the team. Oh, the team could have been better. Nah, I mean, the quarterback drives the ship. I mean, yeah, the team could have been better here and there or whatever, but you could make the same argument for Tom Brady's teams, and he finds a way, and I don't know. Now, I will say there's also a combination of the Patriots being in the worst division of football for the last 20 years, and then also Belichick putting a top 5 defense on the field for him every single season. But that's in combination with Tom Brady taking a big pay cut, being the best quarterback in the NFL, making half of what a lot of guys were making to field that good team and that good defense. So the whole thing worked together. It just works together. Tom deserves his rings. Mike McCarthy wasn't an effective leader. LaFleur seems to have a higher football IQ. Yeah, well, I remember when LaFleur came in, and I don't know if you remember this, his first year as coach for the Packers, he was trying to flex a little bit on Rodgers, like, hey, kind of like pushing on him. Like, I can't remember what they argued about. It was about audibling. It was about, LaFleur's like, run the play that I'm calling. And Rodgers kind of like, postured back like, hey, I've been doing this long enough. I know when to audible out of a play. And so I don't know if you remember that, but that his first season. And I think LaFleur was was kind of like, okay, do what you want. I trust you, but LaFleur doesn't have, he doesn't have any leverage. He has to give into the player in this circumstance. He just does. Yeah. Yeah. Bo is awesome. If I mean, it would have been cool to see a full career for Bo. That's the thing that stinks, is like we have like a 4-year sample size, 3 or 4 seasons for Bo Jackson that were out of this world. And then it stopped, it stinks. Yep. Walter Payton. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Barry's probably more like top 5. If you're thinking Jim Brown, Walter Payton, Barry Sanders, I think you have to have Emmitt Smith in there. He's the leading all-time rusher. And then I'm forgetting one. I'm forgetting an obvious one, but that's 4 right there that that are there. And then Alvin Kamara for the Saints. I'm kidding, sort of. Dr. Beckett thinks we're going to curious if we see another market crash like after the junk wax era. It kind of sets up like that, doesn't it? Like for people that are kind of watching it and making comparisons. I do think they're different eras, and I do think there's different things at play, but I also think there's similarities to it too. I think there's kind of learning lessons, from that time, and there's going to be similarities, so I don't know, like that's going to be, I think the one variable that we just don't know or have is a company like Fanatics did not buy all the licensing, at least that I'm aware of, on the tail end of the boom. So if we're thinking like 1994, 95, when stuff started to slow down, there wasn't a monster company that came in, spent a bunch of money, and then basically had the pressure of making their money back. And that's essentially what Fanatics has. So it does kind of, it does make you wonder, how is this going to work out? It's interesting. It's very interesting. Unexplored collectibles, advertisements, spoof cards, wacky packs. Oh, that's interesting. Kind of like Garbage Pail Kids, kind of like the spoof, parody type stuff. That's interesting. Yeah, Earl Campbell, O.J. Simpson, that big time. Yeah, awesome players. But again, Earl Campbell too. He had a bunch of injuries. I know that his career was, cut short. He was a New Orleans Saint at one point. That's where everyone ends. We had George Rogers too at one point. Yeah. That's actually a good point. I mean, a lot of the people that are in this now, it's if you look at the YouTube, the demographics, it's 35 to 45-year-old males. It makes up the most of it. Then you extend it out to, it's really actually probably like 35 to 55 is probably like the main demographic. You're right. And you're exactly right. I mean, that group watched those players. Even Walter Payton, when people throw out Walter Payton to me, it's just slightly before my time as a kid. I never watched Walter in his prime. I was born in 81. So I missed when he was in the Super Bowl where, Ditka didn't give him the ball to get a touchdown in the Super Bowl in 85. I was 4. I was in England. I didn't know. I didn't get to watch him as a kid. So he wasn't on my radar. Whereas Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin, Barry Sanders, Bo Jackson, those were the guys that were on TV. Bobby Hebert and the Dome Patrol. Montana and Rice, those were the guys that were on TV. And then it was after that, it was, Brett Favre, Antonio Freeman, and, the Packers and the Cowboys, doing their thing. So that actually gives me it makes me sad because when I was just rattling that off, it made me think of John Madden. John Madden and Pat Summerall were the ultimate duo calling games. Nobody even touches them, gets close to it. I don't want to hear about Tony Romo. He is not even close to those guys. Those guys were way up here and everybody else is down here trying to get up there, but it's not even in the same world. It was just, they played off each other so well. They had a really good dynamic. I don't know. It's good stuff. Makes me miss John Madden. Yeah. Sammy Baugh is one on the radar. There's another one. I don't want to say it because there's only one on eBay, but it's in that same world that you're talking about, Ryan. But it's not Sammy Baugh. It's another one. I have an Autogram rookie. I have a Unitas rookie. I would like those are definitely cards I'm watching. If there is a big asset dip, if there is kind of high interest rates and assets fall and people are selling off that stuff, I'm ready and willing for vintage football. I'm ready for that. I want that stuff. Oh, I didn't see that. Joseph. Yeah, I know Favre had issues with painkillers. That was something that almost took him he was in trouble with that, where he was really struggling with it. I watched a documentary or something on Favre and his family kind of got involved with it. And he's an Iron Man. I mean, that guy took a beating over his career, Favre, 20-year career. And, but he would hang in the pocket and make that throw, but man, he got clobbered a lot. And, but a lot of those guys did back then. A lot of those guys did. They weren't protecting the quarterback back then. And I kind of wonder if Tom Brady played as great as Tom Brady is, if he played in the 80s where those guys were allowed to tee off on him, would he be 44 and playing? I don't know. I'm not sure. I just don't know. Because, I mean, they let him hit back then. Helmet to helmet was almost encouraged back then. I don't know if you guys remember, but it would be like, bam, what a hit. It wasn't like, oh, unless they were hurt, then it was like, oh my gosh, they're hurt. But I mean, if they weren't, then it was like, what a hit over the middle, whatever. I mean, it was just different. Then they figured out CTE, and then it was like, okay, that's not good. Walter Payton, favorite athlete of all time, the ultimate GOAT. Yeah. Again, I've seen highlights, but I just didn't, I didn't get to see him play. I don't have that. Now I haven't seen Otto Graham play either. So maybe I just need to, watch more of Walter Payton. I do watch Otto Graham highlights and stuff on that on YouTube. Sometimes kind of fun. Kind of look back at the humble beginnings of the game when they had second and third jobs in the offseason. Anybody collecting Prism UFC? Anybody on the UFC cards? Throw it in the chat for all day. I am not. I'm not big on UFC, but that's not to say that it's not, collectible and not cool. I know there's a lot of people that are into it. Yeah, Von Dunbar. Yeah, almost as big as my Craig Ironhead Hayward. I almost said Ironwood. Ironhead Hayward collection. That guy was awesome. Dalton Hilliard and Ironhead Hayward. They were like thunder and lightning. Howard Cosell, it's going back. Yep. Yeah. Robert Brooks, Antonio Freeman, and then you had Andre Rison came to the Packers. Yeah. Saturday Night Live, yeah. The one I remember the most was Farley, Chris Farley doing his Bears, his Dub Bears. Slabs for $1. There will be. Oh, there definitely will be. You're right. That's kind of an interesting play too. Just buying like, the bids that are at 99 cents, the slabs that just end at 99 cents, one bid or whatever. What kind of deals can you get? So this is kind of interesting. This is actually a good question because I want to kind of curtail it into something else I'm doing, but favorite top 3 modern cartoon style cards: Kaboom, Downtown, Color Blast, On Horizon, Net, Football Marbles, Stained Glass. Okay, so I don't own, do I own any of these? Let me just look back at this. I don't own any of these modern inserts. Not one. I don't have any Kabooms, Downtowns. I think out of all these though, my favorite as far as just the looks of it is the Stained Glass. I know that there is so much love for the Kabooms, and the Downtowns are nice too. I do like the Marvel types, the Marvels. I like those, but I think Stained Glass is probably the one that I like the best, but I don't own any of them. I've been really focused on the late 90s, early 2000s Upper Deck stuff, and also Fleer stuff, like Fleer, Upper Deck, whether it be autos. I'm looking into and really focused on football as well, because there is really rare, case hit insert type stuff that nobody has a clue about. No one cares, pays attention to it, but it's out there and it's interesting. So that's been kind of where I'm at. I have my first love. I know you guys, I always talk about football cards. My first love is football. Basketball would be number 2. And then I like, I showed yesterday, I've got a cool, a Willie Mays auto that's out of a rare insert set, so, and I love all the vintage baseball stuff. But what happens with me typically is I go down a rabbit hole in pockets, so I'll spend a couple of months on one particular segment, and then I'll move over to something else. And so I'm kind of building out kind of like siloed parts of my collection where, there's it's diverse, which I guess you could make the argument for, being more focused, but also, being a little bit more loose with it as well is kind of fun, because you're able to kind of ebb and flow. And for me too, I'm still learning about, I got back in the hobby spring of 2018. So we're talking 4 years ago. And, I was also into graded comic books. So, it's not as if I was just totally focused on sports cards. And then I've also gotten into some of the graded video game stuff. I enjoy that. So I'm still learning about all the different insert sets, the rarity, all the different things. And so for me, I'm still trying to figure out, yes, I do have some focus. I made videos on at the end of the year for 2022. I've got specific cards I'm targeting, and that's all true, but I don't know if I'm there yet to where I know exactly where my focus is going to be over a long period of time. Like, for example, Carlos from Because I'm Carlos YouTube channel, he collects Madano, the hockey player, and that's his player. That's kind of like his PC player that he focuses on. I'm not there yet where I've got one specific player that I'm focused on. I might never be there, but I could reach a point where maybe I'm just really focused on Drew Brees stuff. I'm a Saints fan. He is the best Saint to ever play. I do already collect his stuff. I love Brees stuff. So maybe I'll get to that point. But right now, I think I'm just trying to. I'm finding my way, and I'm getting different things. But I'm into all the things. I'm definitely not reaching on stuff that I don't really care about. It's definitely stuff where I'm focused in on. This is. I love it, and I feel like it's got long-term potential. Excellent point, Patrick. Brady would use that 40-yard dash speed, that top line speed to evade tacklers. You nailed it. Yeah, NFL blitz was basically like even into the 90s. I would say like pre-2010 maybe. I mean, we're only talking about like the last 10 years have been, I mean, even when Brady got into the league, they were still hitting, not quite, like they were in the, in the 90s and previous, but they were starting to kind of shore it up as Brady was getting going. And Breeze for that matter too. I don't want to say like, oh, well, Brady's just had like this cushion, they've been taking care of him. Drew Brees has been he was a beneficiary of that as well. And that was my quarterback. So I'm glad that they weren't allowed to blast him. Yeah. Yeah. And it's carried over today. Montana and the West Coast offense, getting rid of the ball quickly. Yeah. Getting out into the flat, quick slants. But then all that stuff opened up an eventual deep ball, that shot down the field to Rice or to John Taylor. Absolutely. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. And I mean, the knock on Barry Sanders can just be like, look, he's got no postseason achievements. But I guess the argument against that would be like, he couldn't help it. He played for the Lions and the organization wasn't good. They never put, any talent around him. They did go to the playoffs a couple of times, but just couldn't overcome it. And I think that's actually why he retired when he did. Was he played for 10 years, but I think it was just because the Lions never really delivered on it. And he was like, I'm done. I just don't want to do this anymore. That was definitely part of the decision. Might not have been 100%, but it was part of it, which stinks. Okay. Yeah. UFC stuff for specific cards. Yeah, my thing would be like, what are the oldest, rarest cards for UFC? Like, what are they? John just mentioned, 2009 round 1, and said that's the 86 Flair of UFC sets. Yeah, I would be buying less, kind of like, everyone's focused on F1 Topps Chrome or whatever it is, the new thing, which I'm sure that's great. But my initial thought would be like, I would be looking back to see like, what's the vintage stuff that no one knows about yet. And I'd be looking at that, just to try to get my hands on it. But yeah, for me, I haven't been doing any UFC or F1 stuff at this point. This year's absolute explosives are crazy, better than Kabooms. Do you guys feel they're kind of watering down Kabooms, and now you've got explosives? Now you've got like all these different years of Kabooms and different brands of it, and then now I guess there's explosives too. There's going to be dynamites next, and it's kind of like Select with now you've got club level. It's like you have concourse and you have premier, and then you have club level, and then you have field level. What's up? Is that like, what's nosebleed level will be next? Like top of the stadium level. Like, come on, nosebleed section level will be next for Select. That'll be the 5th type of parallel. Yeah, and that's fair enough. I mean, if you look back, there's, I always think about that too. What are people going to care about in 20 years? But you also have to think about, well, no, I mean, and this is true. It's kind of like, what's the case hit? What's, how scarce is it? How scarce is it really? Is it really scarce? Do we believe it is? Because there's a lot of cards that aren't numbered, like the Kabooms that are scarce. If you go back to, the late 90s and 2000s, there's a lot of those types of cards where they're rare. They're just because they're not numbered doesn't mean that they're not rare. When you look at like the pack hit percentage, I like, what's fun too is going back and looking, you find like an insert set and then going back to the hobby boxes that they're in. So maybe it's 2001 Upper Deck, whatever, just like, looking back at a hobby box, you can look at like, what does a sealed wax box cost? Oh, it's $2,000. Okay. Well, that's pretty pricey considering the checklist. And then it'll show you the pack odds. And a lot of times on Cardboard Connection, you'll see the pack odds as well. And that's helpful. I love though when I see like an insert that is inexpensive on eBay and it's 1 out of 360 packs. It's like, yes, That's the type of stuff I'm looking for. Thanks, TW. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate it. I think you're a man. Sorry if you're a woman. I'm sorry that I said man. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, I live in and out of rabbit holes. It's fun though. It's fun. The research part is the most fun for me of the in the hobby. And it always feels good when you do find something that people just aren't recognizing, they aren't seeing it yet for whatever reason. They're not interested in it or, whatever. I think that's kind of fun, especially when so much of the attention is on the ultra modern stuff. I saw someone talking about how even with hobby content and, all sorts of hobby content, not even like whether it be breaking or people talking about different thoughts, different ideas like I do and some others do, different people breaking down data analytic type stuff. Very rarely you see people breaking down vintage, even like 80. And I try to mix it in. I haven't made a video like that in a while, but I'll probably go back to it here and just like, price check. Let's look at, recent prices on stuff. But a lot of people thanked me for doing vintage cards because nobody does that. A lot of the top fives and nothing wrong with the top fives, but it's like, it's the Mac Jones, Don Russ rookie card. It's like, who cares? Who cares about that? I want to know what's going on with, vintage cards. I want to know and granted, look, I know that vintage pricing can be all over the place because a 3 can look better. A 3 can look better than a 6. It's all like, how the eye appeal of it, but it's still cool to talk about, and you can, obviously I say that when I'm talking about vintage cards and pricing with data tools is like, hey, look, the pricing is going to vary based on many different factors with vintage, but doesn't change the fact that a lot of people love that stuff, want to talk about it. Yeah, Barry and Megatron, they're all retiring early. Yeah. Oh yeah, these are cool cards. I think you had sent me a picture of this, or you mentioned it and I had looked it up. The Gridiron Kings. Yep. Yeah, some of the artwork, even on, I know it's going to sound, the artwork wasn't like amazing, but I remember the Diamond Kings, not the Gridiron Kings, but the baseball Diamond Kings back in like what Don Russ packs back in like 88, 89, 90. And the Bo Jackson one, I remember the Royals Bo Jackson was like that was like a hit card. I remember as a kid being like, oh my gosh, I got like the Bo Jackson. Yeah, it's a good point, Joseph. It's the ongoing debate. It's a super team debate. When they win it with a super team, is it the same? Look at the biggest stars in the NBA right now, LeBron James and Kevin Durant. Both of those guys traveled to win championships. And you could actually even argue that Kevin Durant was so close in Oklahoma City to winning. They almost beat the Warriors in the playoffs. They were right there. I think that Kevin Durant could have won one, just staying put with some of these teams. But the fact that he did go to the Warriors to win, it's like, nah, it just doesn't. I don't know. I mean, it just doesn't strike me as being the same as, some of the guys that did it with their own teams, whether it be, Larry Bird or Magic Johnson or Michael Jordan. Now you can argue that those were dynamite, dynasty type teams. Talking about the Celtics and the Lakers. I mean, Magic had Kareem. Larry Bird had Robert Parrish and Kevin McHale. And, they had great teams. Michael Jordan did not go to a great team. He did not go to, there was no other Hall of Famer. Scottie Pippen became a Hall of Famer with him. But I mean, there was no Kareem on the, playing with Michael Jordan, so I don't know. I think there's something to that. I think you're right. Not to take away from LeBron's best title is probably it's the Cavs title, that he won with Kyrie, a young Kyrie. That's got to be his best. I am going to the National unless something weird happens. I plan to be there. Yep, I will be at the National this year. Are you going, Patrick? Who all is going to the National? One thing that's been kind of nice about this is with card prices having come down. I know not all of them have, but a lot of them have over the last, 8, 9 months, 10 months. unless you're talking about a GOAT player, a Tom Brady or a LeBron, if you're just collecting players or other type, modern kind of the all-stars, whatever that you like, a lot of the prices for that stuff has come down. So people, a lot of times they talk about, base cards and the base card drop in price, but there's also been a fairly, decent price drop in, optic hollows and some of the stained glass and some of the cool insert cards for specific players, just depending on which players you're buying into. Wow, 2 trade nights and 3 card shows locally this week. And I'm kind of jonesing for a trade night, even though I don't have necessarily like anything that I'm looking to trade out of that I like badly want to trade out of. I just like going to those just for the camaraderie of them too. The trade nights are really fun. Yeah, I hear you. Getting burnt out. I'm not burnt out because I'm not dealing like I wouldn't consider myself a big time dealer at all. Yeah. Well, it also depends too on how many different inserts are we chasing, because it's like the manufactured rarity is okay if there's not 1,000 different parallels that are equally as manufactured rare. You know what I mean? That's where I like, if I look at a set from and you could look at today's sets probably and find some of these cards. I don't know what, Mosaic Genesis maybe for basketball. I'm just thinking, but a set that's got a decent amount of inserts, but then you've got like kind of the case hit or the every other case or every 5 cases. The thing that's crazy though is a lot of people have forgotten about those cards. So they either forgot, I don't know, maybe no one ever hit them because it was like 1 card in 10 cases. They don't know what they are. So now that's like a fun researching game because there's a bunch of these cards out there in the wild. And they might have some idea that it's rare, but don't realize how rare it was. So that's something I've been doing. I know I already said that, but I'm going to keep saying it. Yeah, it depends. It depends on the inserts. It depends. And it's certainly become a thing within the hobby. Inserts started, all that stuff started as far as like memorabilia cards and autos and packs, started in like, mid 90s. But that's definitely a big part of the hobby now is the memorabilia type cards. And you look at kind of where Fanatics is probably going to take the hobby. I think it's probably more in that direction. It's not going to be less inserts and parallels and memorabilia cards. I can't imagine. I think they're going to have their own, take on that. I'm not buying any Josh Allen's. No. I'm careful with this. Maybe I'm the weirdo, but I would rather buy the guys that just get knocked out. I made a tweeted yesterday and I was kind of a joke, but it was like, who's buying the Kyler Murray dip, because the card dip, if it happens, because Kyler Murray just had a really rough game, really, really rough. No one's going to be paying attention to his cards. They'd already come down quite a bit just from kind of that modern card correction that has been happening. But Kyler Murray's kind of an interesting one. I mean, he's a good young talent. My issue with the newer QBs is there's so much, in my opinion, there is a lot of good young talent. And so I don't know where to put my resources. And so that's why I haven't really dove into that stuff, because it's like, I don't know I don't have confidence in which ones are going to be good. Josh Allen, I think is great, but I was listening to, was it Steve that was flipping Steve on his live last night. He kind of echoed exactly what I think about Josh Allen. He's a little reckless with the football when he's running it. He runs it with it out here. He takes some massive shots sometimes running the ball. And it's just like, it just takes like one bad hit, one weird hit, and then he's out for the year. Like that's football. So I don't know. For Josh Allen, I almost feel like I need to see him like win a Super Bowl and then kind of let the, or at least kind of, I don't know, to see more out of him. I don't know. Are you buying Josh Allen, John? I understand the excitement around him. This is an excellent point. Yeah, this is a very, very good point. One, if it could be like a 5-case hit, but if there's 10 or 20 cards in the checklist, that's that many more, you have even less chance of hitting like the Barry Sanders or the Kobe Bryant or whatever it is that you're looking for. The checklist is important. If there's a big checklist, if it's 1 out of 360 packs and there's 20 cards, it adds even more to that scarcity rarity. Oh, the gold explosives. Yeah, exactly. I think they're joking about the breakers with the giveaway that never happened, or maybe it did happen. I don't know what happened with it, but Frank Robinson rookies, yeah. Frank Robinson. I think I've heard a lot of people say he was an underrated player in general, Frank Robinson. Okay, I assume Gridiron Kings is just a football version. Yeah, the Diamond Kings flashback, those old Donruss Diamond Kings. Love those. 1990 Donruss. Yeah, I think there's like George Brett, Bo Jackson. Who are some of the other guys in there? Was Juan Gonzalez in there maybe? Anyway. Hey, Cody. How you doing? Good to see you. Batman had Robin, Golden Age comic books. That's another thing I'm kind of peeking at. I'm always peeking at a bunch of different things, keeping track on a lot of stuff, but they aren't giving that stuff away. Well, and I talked about this too. Like the Joker villain goes back to like 1940 in a comic book. So you think about like that would be just a cool piece of history to have one that old. I don't have one that old. I've got 60s stuff of the Joker, but not 1940. Not yet. Not yet. It's in New Jersey, right? That was my New Jersey accent. It's terrible, right? Atlantic City. Yeah, Kevin Durant left the Thunder. Unbelievable. I want the Seattle Supersonics back. That's what I want. Where put my water? Oh, I have a water somewhere. Here we go. Yeah, Cody, are you going to trade again or sell to Jeff, Sports Card Investor? I remember you. Cody had a card at the National, and I'm like, I feel like I want this, and I kind of like balked at it. I didn't make a move on it, and then Jeff from SCI bought it from him. I was like, perfect. Oh, is this recent, Joseph? I haven't been following the retail landscape. 8 drugstores, 3 Walmarts, 2 Targets. They don't even have card sections because people just ruined it. That's interesting. Come to think of it, I haven't even checked when I've been in like a Walmart, Target lately, which is sad. Like I just got so used to not seeing sports cards there or anything worthwhile that I don't even look anymore, which is probably a mistake. Oh, you're talking about the National, Kev? That's cool. Yep. That'll be awesome. I'm excited for it. The last year's National was one of the best. It's going to sound cheesy, but one of the best life experiences, I think, for me. I mean, it was a lot of fun. I went with my wife. Really, really, really fun. And we just met a lot of great people. It was really cool. I don't know if we can, I don't know if it'll ever be like that, quite like that again, because I think people were just happy, to see each other after, what was going on with the pandemic and stuff. But yeah, no, it was amazing. Wow. I've already been on for an hour. Good Lord. I didn't realize it was an hour already. Yeah, the trade nights are fun. They really are. It's also good to just watch other people work, like watch other people trade. How do they negotiate? What are they looking for? You can literally just sit at a trade night and just watch and do nothing yourself, and it's still a great time. One thing that was kind of cool, it was like our table was like the lazy man's table. We just like kind of put all of our cards out that we were interested in trading, and there's people walking around. They just walk up to you. Hey, what are you looking for that card? Or what do how much, where'd you find that or whatever, striking up conversation. So we didn't have to do any of the work. We were just kind of hanging out there, and then people would walk up and introduce themselves. It was fun. Yeah. 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 I'm looking forward to meeting you too, Ryan. That's right down the road from you, basically, right? In Boston. That's not too far. Yeah. That's going to be a really good time. I texted Brad that night at like halftime or something, and I'm like, "Tell me that you got rid of those Kyler Prism rookie cards," and he's like, "Nope." I'm like, unreal, dude, unreal. We all have those stories, though. We all have those stories. I've still got Mason Rudolph and Ryan Finley rookie cards. Yeah, yeah. Talk her into it, Philly Joe. To say, "Hey, look, this is like life. This is a chance of a lifetime." The National. Yeah, 90s inserts with hard pack odds. All about it. All about it. Because that's kind of the first foray into like the fancy inserts where they were really trying, to make them nice. I mean, it was, and then the first memorabilia type stuff. Yeah, I'm less of a baseball card collector, so this is probably definitely for Ryan McClanahan. He is a baseball guy for sure. Kyler is, yeah, but John, you have been saying that sports cards in general are done, right? I mean, you're kind of I would say that you have been more of a pessimist when it comes to this stuff. I don't think Kyler's done. I think he's a young guy, got thrown in the fire against a good Rams defense, and it's got beat. Also, did I miss something? Didn't Hopkins get hurt? Like DeAndre Hopkins was not playing last night, right? Nuke? Because if he was not playing, that's a pretty big deal. And I'm pretty sure he was not, right? When I read this, Philly Joe, I read Bear, like Bobby Bear with the Saints in '89. I really like watching Bear. Oh no, he meant Herbert. Dang it. Herbert Burrow is the best young gun. So yeah, that's going to be a really fun one to watch. You wonder if it's going to be like Marino Elway from '84. The Burrow Herbert, because it just seems like both those guys are legit. You know, it just seems like they're both going to have good long careers. Obviously, it's football. You never know. We all thought Carson Wentz had promise, and just I don't know what happened to him. And there's people worried about Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield's got to show out next season. Is really kind of that's a huge season for Baker Mayfield. He either gets a big contract or he doesn't play for the Browns anymore. It'd be interesting. I'm going to assume that you meant 2020. I bought them in 2030. I'm Back to the Future. Yeah, Burrow and Herbert. So my struggle with these guys is I own one Burrow rookie card. I don't own any Herberts. My struggle with these, as I've talked about it, is that 2020 product is so overproduced. So it's like, which ones do you want to get? Part of me is like, I want to get something that's actually really rare of those guys if I was going to get like serious about it. But then it's like, I feel like the price points it's either like $100, $300, $500, but then then they have serious cards. They've got $50,000 cards, $40,000 cards. I just don't know where to even start with that. No, I understand that. I understand that. Yeah, Durant was dominant, but he was on a very dominant team. That Warriors team, you could argue they would have won without him. I mean, yes, he was that finals MVP, but Steph Curry could have very easily been that finals MVP if he wasn't there. We just don't know, but you're right. No, it's not like he was, yeah, Karl Malone was pretty damn good though too. And not saying that Gary Payton wasn't, but Karl Malone is what, like fifth on the points list. I mean, him and Stockton were really unstoppable. That Jazz team, it's amazing that they didn't get. I mean, if it wasn't for Michael Jordan, they would have a ring or two themselves. Yeah, so the one thing I liked about Josh Allen is I've seen a couple of interviews of him, and he seems like he's got a good head on his shoulders. When I've heard him speak in interviews and stuff like that. So I do agree with that, Hobby Champs. I think that his time will come. I think they're going to be perennial playoff contenders. But you're right. He's got to get a ring. Football's just so tough because you look at the guys like, I mean, Josh Allen, his stuff is more expensive than Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers has a ring and has a 15, 17-year career. His stuff's more expensive than Bree's stuff, who has a ring and has a 20-year career. So that's the struggle. And you said it right there, too high to buy for Josh Allen. I feel like Josh Allen, it would almost be where the Bills are just having a rough stretch, and it looks like they're not going to make the playoffs, and maybe he's not playing well, and his cards dip. If there's a dip and you really believe in him, then maybe that's the opportunity. But man, a lot of that stuff, it's like that fresh newness of it. It's like what you see with Zion right now. Like, how the hell is a Zion Prism Silver PSA 10 $2,000? It shouldn't be $2,000. We don't even know if the guy's going to play this season. We don't even know if he's going to play basketball again. I know that sounds really dramatic, but he's not working out with his team. No one's heard anything. I don't follow his social media, so I don't know if he's posting workout clips or whatever. I have no idea what's going on, but that's scary. That's scary when you've got your, this guy that was like a hobby savior in a way. That was like the Luka mixed with the Zion. You got Ja. These are very, very important people. I've seen a lot of people have commented, I got back into the hobby because I was excited about Zion. Literally, like that's what got them back into the hobby. And now Zion is nowhere to be found. That's concerning. That's concerning. Now, hopefully there's just more kind of exciting rookies that come out that bring people in, but Zion he might fade into obscurity. Who knows? Like, we have no idea. He's uber talented, but I don't know. Hey, Samuel, how's it going, man? I really have no idea. I don't have necessarily a contact in Brooklyn that would be, good for this sort of thing. If anyone in chat might know someone in Brooklyn that, a good, honest collector dealer or somebody, baseball card collector, investor dealer. No, Chris isn't in Brooklyn, but I will say, Chris, the next time he's in the U.S., baseball card collector, investor, dealer, he would be an honest guy to go through your cards if you were interested in selling them. I just don't know if he could get to Brooklyn and all that. I have no idea, but he does buy collections. That's cool. 89 Topps Nintendo. Sealed VHS. That's where all the rage is now. That's cool. Is it resealed though? Or is it originally sealed or resealed? And more importantly, are there G.I. Joe cards stuffed in that VHS tape? Yeah, the lazy man's table. Yeah, we weren't exactly working the room, Michael. We were not working that room. I'm going to be boring, Brian. I would say the vintage baseball player that interests me the most is it's Willie Mays right now. But that's not, it's simply because I think that from a price standpoint, he's, very accomplished. And I'm not a baseball guy, but a lot of baseball people have told me and kind of shared that he was an overall better player than Mickey Mantle was. But when we were at the National, there was dealers saying that they were selling 20-1 Mantle cards to a Willie Mays for whatever reason. There's an inefficiency there, I believe. So for me, for vintage baseball, he is the one that I am really kind of looking at. But I just have so many other things that I'm into. It's held me back from pulling the trigger on a lot of his stuff. But I like Willie Mays. 50 stuff, ideally. 55 Bowman, if you're looking for specific sets. I like that TV card with the wood border. I've talked about it on the channel before, but that's one that I want. I will have it at some point. I will have that card. Like every time I look at it, the price is like just above where I want to pay. And so I'm like, I'm just going to wait. So here we are. Well, yeah, and I think there's some dealers that probably bought in, just like there's collectors/investors that bought in February, March at some of these higher prices. I think there's also dealers that did the same thing. There's flippers that got caught. There are flippers, high-end flippers got smoked if they traded into stuff in February, March, which a lot of them did. So a lot of them are holding, I don't know, they might have traded into, Topps Chrome LeBron PSA 10s at 25, 30 grand, trade value, thinking that that's an amazing deal because it got up to what, 40 or 42K. And what does that card sit at now? 12, 13, 14? I'll look it up real quick. What is that Topps Chrome PSA 10 sitting at? Okay, so 10,500 roughly. 11. There's one that sold at $449 2 days ago. But they're in kind of that $11,000 to $13,000 range. So anywhere from 10 to 13,000. But you understand my point. I mean, look, if you traded into or you bought in at $20,000, $25,000, that's a massive, you know, it's a dip. Now, some might say, well, it's going to come back. Maybe it will, but a lot of people got caught. That's the one thing where it's like, I don't reach on very expensive cards. I've missed opportunities that way, but I also haven't lost my ass on stuff because, I just went in on something that was really expensive. I haven't. I didn't go way beyond my means, I guess, which is good. I'm glad that I didn't. Yeah, it doesn't look like literally not going anywhere, literally not moving. No, honestly, I hope that that's all BS, and I hope that he's going to come back. The NBA kind of needs it. The NBA has gotten a little bit, I don't know, I think it's a little bit boring right now. Luka's playing average, which he's been playing out of his mind, for basically since he got into the league. Now he's kind of settled in a little bit. His team is questionable. LeBron, the Lakers are very average. Durant just got hurt. He's out for 4 or 5 weeks, I think. It's kind of drab. You have the NBA where guys take off 20 games of the season. So it's like, I was thinking about taking my son to the Hornets play the Mavericks in March. And so I was like, oh man, that would be so cool to go see LaMelo and Luka. But what's sad is like, I don't even know if those guys are going to play. They might be resting. They might be on they might be injured. Hopefully they're not, but they also might just be like resting up for the playoffs or for whatever. I don't know if the Hornets are going to make the playoffs, but you understand my point. It's not like guys just sit out, so I don't know. Jameis Winston, that's who I'm going to guess. Unless we do a blockbuster trade for Russell Wilson, I don't think we're doing any other type of blockbuster trades. Outside of that, I think we stick with Jameis. I think he showed enough for Sean Payton. If you look at his stats, there's some crazy stuff. I mean, he's got like more touchdown passes than like a bunch of NFC quarterbacks, and he hasn't played since Halloween. So I think that it's going to be Jameis unless Jameis asks for a ton of money, because this last year he was making $12 million. So, if he asks for 15, if he asks for 17, I think that we should do it. And because he's serviceable. The one thing that Jameis does really well is he throws a great deep ball. He throws an accurate deep ball, which a lot of QBs in the NFL cannot do. Where Jameis actually struggles is with the 10-yard passes. His short game needs work. It's not terrible, but we need the guy. We have become a power running game with a strong defense, and we need him to be able to. We need a guy to stretch the field. That's what we were missing with Breeze. The last 2 seasons with Breeze, we were missing that, and with Jameis, we have it. Now, we don't have Breeze's decision-making with Jameis, but Jameis did just fine. But, before he went down, he was very calculated. He was careful, didn't make a bunch of mistakes. We were 5-2 with Jameis. So I hope it's Jameis, unless, it's Russell Wilson, but then it's like, what are we going to give up for him? Probably too much, so I don't know. I'm perfectly fine with this defense adding offensive weapons in the draft and free agency and rolling with Taysom Hill and Jameis. Let's do it. Crab legs. Let's go. Pokemon VHS case has a G.I. Joe tape in it. I knew it. There are G.I. Joe cards inside those VHSs. That's going to be honestly, and actually Neo posted, this was kind of funny. Well, I cracked myself up anyway. Neo had posted something on his community tab, I believe it was, or maybe it was Instagram or something, but it was like, there's a 2014 sealed box of Fleer Retro, and I think it was Marvel cards is what he was referencing. And I was joking, like, but I wonder, what are the odds that there's going to be, G.I. Joe cards in there? I can't wait to see the G.I. Joe cards, when they open that thing up. But I feel like that's going to forever be the meme for sealed wax. How is it not going to be? At least for the near future, like sealed wax now, anytime someone's like, oh, I've got this expensive box of sealed wax, everyone in the hobby is going to think about Logan Paul and Pokemon. I mean, how can they not? Yeah, no, Mantle is a legendary Yankee. It's not taking away from Mickey Mantle at all, by the way, Griffey to best. I'm not, that's Mickey Mantle did amazing. He had an amazing career. It's not taking anything away, but all I was saying is just that Mantle pricing they're not giving those cards away. You're paying a premium higher than you are with a lot of really great players like a Mays or Hank Aaron or a lot of these other guys, and so that's where it's like I would be buying Willie Mays stuff if they're like, go nuts. Here's a bunch of money and go buy vintage baseball. I'd probably just buy mostly Willie Mays stuff. That's my thought. Yeah, Hammer and Hank, Willie Mays. No, you're right. And actually, that speaks to this point, Chris, that the hobby usually makes no sense whatsoever, right? Better player does not equal better card value. A lot of people talk about performance with card values. How much of it is performance? I mean, yes, it does matter to some degree, but how much of it is the anticipation or the excitement of an event? We talk about that. Steve's been talking about that with Marvel cards and we, comic books. Oh, there's a new trailer coming out. There's a new movie. And oh, this villain's going to be in it. So this first appearance in the comic book is going to go up. It's the anticipation. Who's that next villain going to be in this movie? Or, that means the Marvel cards are going to start moving up too. It's all the speculation, the anticipation. I think that matters a lot more than the actual performance on the field. I mean, look when card prices went up last year. It was during the pandemic when nobody was playing. Basketball cards went nuts from March till what, August? Oh, yeah, because they started up like July, and end of July, they started back in the bubble. But between like March and July, it went bananas. And then they started playing games. It was like it was like a highly concentrated off season where nobody has anything to do except for sit around and buy cards. And that's what happened. Mays prices have run up a ton in the last 6 months relative to most. Yeah, and that's a good point. I say Willie Mays in comparison to Mickey Mantle, but again, they're not giving away Willie Mays stuff either because a lot of people are thinking the same thing. A lot of people are thinking about Willie Mays, not just me or others. I got some of my stuff way too high on my slabs. Yeah, but I mean, I have stuff like that too, where I wouldn't, it's like I could just sell it and break even because I thought it would go up and stay up. And then it went up and it came all the way back down to like what I paid for it, so it's like, I would just be breaking even on it. My issue though, is sometimes I'll move off of that stuff just because I see the other shiny new object where I'm like, oh man, I want to go after these sets. I want to go after this other stuff. And this stuff, while I was collecting that before, while I was interested in it before, it's not as cool as this new stuff that I found. And so I'm moving off of it to try to get into that new stuff or whatever. Yeah. I'm going to find this clip and I'm going to find this clip and I'm going to put it into a video just to rub it in. Andy, Football Card Quest. I was on a live stream with him and Brad, Comeback Card Investor, and we were talking preseason about football, about NFL. And he was talking about like overrated players and guys that are going to take a step back. And he said Joe Burrow. And I said, and I actually named Joe Burrow as the guy that I thought was going to overperform this year. I got that one right. Now I got most of them wrong, but he was arguing with me about the Cincinnati Bengals offensive line, which is true. But I think just we all didn't see what was going to happen with Jamar Chase. I mean, hell, in the preseason, Jamar Chase was talking about how he can barely catch. Like he was complaining about the size of the NFL ball compared to the college ball and all the drops. Everybody thought that Chase was just going to be dropping the ball. Like he was going to have like a pedestrian rookie year. Not that he was going to have like a Randy Moss first year, crazy. Yeah. Yeah. Championships matter. Yes. No, that makes sense. Yeah, but true. That's true, but it's also, you know, in every sport you see that though. In basketball, it's Jordan's got the rings. In football, Brady's got the Super Bowl ring. So, when you're making comparisons, it is kind of it's like an equalizer or it's something where it's like, okay, these are all great players. What's different between them? Oh, okay, they won championships. So they won MVPs, whatever. I was kind of thinking about this too, Bruce. It's weird, but did his conditioning get worse? Because it seems like he's just carrying more weight this year than he did when he was a rookie. It seems like he's definitely one, especially, and maybe he's just like growing into, he's still growing. How old is he? 21 or 22? I mean, you're not fully grown until you're what, 24, 25? He's still a kid, basically. But that's a very important point. He's got to learn. He will have to learn, just like Zion, any of these guys. There's a lot of great players that just succumb to weight. Like Sean Kemp is one of those guys. Sean Kemp that played for the Sonics with Gary Payton. He was a beast, but he had weight issues. Then he had back issues. And that's it. Curtains. So yeah, that's definitely going to be a big thing. That's what separates LeBron from a lot of these guys. Tom Brady, the way they take care of their bodies is insane. And so if they don't do that, then I don't know. I think Boris is still operating Dex Flow. I haven't seen him or anything, but yeah, I don't know. I think the hobby needs flippers too. I mean, there's a place for everybody. I know that's a very like PC way of putting it, but I like Boris. He's a nice guy. I met him. I had lunch with him in Dallas. We hung out some, and he's a good dude. Embiid and Maxey dynamic duo. Brian, yeah. Taysom Hill. Taysom is, he doesn't have, so like what I said with Jameis with the deep ball, Taysom actually underthrows his deep ball. It's like a punt. He can't get the ball downfield. Taysom throws a nice 10, 20-yard pass, but he run. I mean, he's just, and look, he broke his foot to end the season. Taysom Hill should be used as a gadget guy the way that he has. And he might say like, oh, I want to start. And not to say that he can't start, he can, but it needs to be in like an emergency, because he's very effective in a lot of other ways. This was a trial for him to start, because I was saying the same thing. Why not let Taysom Hill take the reins? Watching him this year, though, is kind of like, nah, it's not going to happen. It's just not. I don't think he's going to evolve into that guy. And he worked the whole offseason to be the starting quarterback. So it's not as if he didn't practice for it. He was practicing for it. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to get caught up here. I know. Everybody went to go look at sealed boxes of G.I. Joe cards. I'm looking forward to doing a blind reveal for my first SGC submission. It's going to be a while. It's going to be in 3 or 4 weeks, before I get it back. But I'm going to do it. It's going to be completely blind, and I'm excited about that one. I never used HGA. Have you guys had good experiences with HGA from just as far as their service, but also turnaround? I'd be interested in hearing that. That's a good point. Yeah, celebrity status. Everybody knew who he was, kind of like Golden Boy during the golden age of baseball on TV. That makes sense. I don't know, man. I watched that trailer today for Moon Knight, and I just was not impressed by it. I was not. I don't know. Just Moon Knight. It made me think of like when I saw like the guy and the outfit with CGI and stuff. It made me think. It looked like it looked like Spawn from the '90s movie, which actually I'm a massive Spawn fan, but in like a white grayish suit. It was like, I don't know. It just felt kind of cheesy. I wasn't digging the Moon Knights, the Moon Knight. Good point with this, Kevin. That's true. There's an expectation that the prices do move up after Mays passes away. Yeah, that's a good point, because I've heard people talk about it. Yeah, good question here, Andrew, because I'm not a historian for baseball. I would like to hear about it though. If anyone has, thoughts on Hank Aaron versus Willie Mays versus some of these other guys as far as just all around players. Yeah, Joe Burrow, comeback player of the year. The thing that's most impressive with Burrow is the line was awful. You know, the offensive line was really bad, and that's what's so impressive because you think about, like, you know, the Bengals are gonna head into the draft. They don't really need weapons. They actually, I mean, maybe now I was gonna say running back, but they don't need a running back. They need linemen. They just need to get linemen. They need to get offensive linemen. I'm sure they'll pick up defensive pieces, but I mean, if they shore up that line for Burrow, it's gonna be great. They just got to find, you know, some good linemen to protect him because he's already really good. I was really impressed with Burrow at LSU. You know, coming in, I just had a feeling he was going to be a good pro. Now, granted, he's what two? He's in his second season, so he's got a lot of career and a lot of proving to do ahead of him. So we'll see. Oh, I talk about these guys all the time, Kevin, but it's not for that reason. Yeah, I don't actually. I hear you on that, but you can. I mean, yeah, Bradshaw, Staubach, and you know those guys are not. You know, how old is Willie Mays? I think is he 80? Hold on, let me look. Is he older than that? How old is Willie Mays? It's a thing now. I need to know. Oh, he's 90. My gosh. Okay. Yeah, Roger Staubach and Terry Bradshaw are not 90. I don't, you know, I think it's okay. Look, I like all these guys. I buy these cards, not Dawson, but Bradshaw, Staubach, Namath, they're legends. But not, I'm not waiting for that 20-year bump or whatever, you know, from that. I just collect them because they're legends and their stuff is inexpensive in comparison. Oh my gosh, especially compared to a Mickey Mantle or Willie Mays or Hank Aaron baseball card. Yeah, their stuff it's just different. Falling in love. Oh, does he have a girlfriend that I don't know about? Is that the problem here? Isn't Devin Booker dating a Kardashian? That's a bad sign. Well, that's what screwed up the Nets last year in the playoffs, probably, if he was dating a Kardashian. It's hard to judge these guys, though, honestly. Like, these guys have, all the women are throwing themselves at them. They have access to everything. You know, it's like, on the one hand, you're like, yeah, but it's your career. Take care of yourself. On the other hand, it's like, yeah, but they're millionaires. You know, they have access to everything. You know, not everyone's going to be, like a LeBron James has a 20-year career, is able to stay out of trouble and figure it out. You know, what I mean, like, I think it'd be hard for anybody. Yeah, I think that he's going to figure it out, Kevin. I think that he'll figure it out. He can already compete. I think what happens is I think it's probably he can get by with his natural ability so much, and then it's going to catch up with him where he's like, damn it. Like as he gets older, that natural ability is going to wane. It's kind of like I saw an interview with Dirk Nowitzki, and he was talking about how like he had to go to that like fadeaway jumper that he's so good at because he was just getting older, and it was like the only way he could create a shot. And this is a guy that's how tall is Dirk? 6'10"? You know, having to create a shot, struggling to create a shot. So he had to go to kind of his like patented like knee up shot, fade away, type thing. But that's my point. Like all these guys have to adjust. Well, football in general, just nobody like, people are like, oh, wide receivers. Yeah, but they're going to get hurt, skill players. Yeah, if you're talking about guys that are playing. No, I'm talking about like the Jerry Rices and the Randy Mosses. Like those, they have a lot of cards. Yes, they've got some expensive cards, but they also have a lot of stuff that's not expensive. Not at all. Yes. Yep. That Mexican restaurant. That's where we had Boris, me, Steve. That was a good time. That was good food too. Oh, so Michael, I cut that short. Yeah. So, and I mentioned that in the video. So I was going to do 10 cards. I was going to do 50 total, 5 videos, 10 cards. I chopped it at 30 cards. So yeah, no, I'm not going to do the other 20. And then just, if I'm being totally honest, I've gotten away from that list already, so like I'm going to reveal what I've gotten into over the next probably few weeks. I'll do a mail day video to show you, but I found something that and again, this is a problem with a hobby. I'm a relatively newcomer coming back into the hobby. So I learned about some new cards, some new sets, some different things. It is on the football side teaser. But I'm still kind of working on that. I will share it though, and kind of my thought process, like I always do with everything, just to get feedback, because I like getting feedback from you guys. I don't know, Dex. I have been buying some limited stuff, but it's not necessarily that limited. Like black, super, yeah, numbered out of 5, numbered out of 10. It's not that limited, unless it's like, like autos out of 5. But there's other autos that are out of 10 or 15, but it's not what you're talking about, I don't think. I've got, yeah, probably not. Probably not like gold prisms. All that stuff is so expensive right now. It's all overheated, and it might always be overheated, but yeah, for me, it's probably a no. Unless it's a Bobby Hebert gold prism numbered out of 10, then yes, because that would probably be about $30. I've talked about this because it's like the thing that stinks with Burrow and Herbert is they're in that 2020 product that's printed to the moon, and that's going to be the issue for me is just which rookie cards for Burrow and Herbert. They have so many. They have so many, and yes, they will have demand, but which ones are going to hold up over time? Or is it just like a short-term play where you're just kind of like buying low, selling high, during, like off-season dips and those things? Maybe. But that's where I struggle. If I was going to buy like a Burrow rookie and hold on to it for 5 years, 10 years, whatever, which one would I get? And a lot of people would say like, oh, well, get the rare ones. Yeah, well, the rare ones are 30 grand. They're 40 grand or whatever. I mean, no, I'm not dropping that kind of money on Joe Burrow. I have not. Yeah, I don't know a lot about the character. So maybe it's a cool character. I have not read the comics though. I like the cover on his first appearance. That's a cool book. That's a cool key. But no, I haven't read it. Yeah, HGA is facing kind of a lot of, I mean, look, they're a startup company. They're actually doing really well in the grading space, considering grading is so tough to break into. It's such a tough, I mean, just to gain, market share and, with already established companies, but then also you have to win over customers. You have to, I mean, there's just so many moving parts with it. So the fact that they've gotten as far as they have is actually pretty amazing. And we'll see. I don't think HGA is going away. I think they'll probably be fine. I think they're going to have their fans, and they're going to have, and who knows, maybe they have some breakout technology. Maybe they, take over the grading game. You never know. Oh, I appreciate that, casual collector. That's awesome, man. Yeah, and honestly, sometimes I forget. I watch a lot of YouTube too, and sometimes I'm like, man, that was really good, and then I forget. I forget to like it. So that's on me. And I know I'm always, and I ask people too, like, if you like what you hear, please hit the like button. And then I forget to like. So no worries. A lot of Burrows, a lot of Burrows, a lot of Herberts, a lot of Burrows. Yeah, but they're not all back yet, though, right? I mean, I assume there's probably a lot of these sitting at PSA and BGS. These Burrow rookies that you're talking about, and you meant Kyler's. Is that what you mean, Dakota? So yeah, it might be smaller now. What's it going to look like in a year? I'll probably buy Burrow. This is another reason why I don't buy stuff over the first year, 2 years, is for the population. I know everyone's like, you're too worried about population. Well, the reason why I'm worried about it is because there's more supply on the market means lower price. So I don't want to overpay. And so I'm worried about overpaying for some of that stuff, because I have done that. I've overpaid when it's a smaller pop, and then it becomes a larger pop. And then it's like, damn it, I'm in trouble here, unless like there's demand for that player, which it can happen, but the demand's also got to meet that supply. And sometimes there's an overwhelming supply. And now you've got PSA sending back tens of thousands of cards, every day, every week, whatever. I mean, they're cranking out cards. So and that's kind of the focus on the scarcity part, because if it's not really scarce, if it's not numbered or if it's not vintage or whatever, then it's just something I put on the back burner for, let's look at that in 6, 9 months, 12 months and see where it looks then. Price points. Do I even want it then? So Hank Aaron, yeah, got all the stats, just not the team accolades. Got it. Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah, Burrow and who was the other one? What was it? Yeah, it was Chase, but then the guy that plays for the Rams was also with them. There's so much talk about soccer cards leading up to World Cup. And I think just from a research, I want to watch to see what happens with that market, because I've heard it all over the place. Soccer cards, I think soccer cards are the biggest growth spot, which for me, I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Like football cards, American football cards? No, but I'm like, because a lot of people talk up soccer cards. That's going to be the big thing. That's going to be the next, like they have a lot of growth potential, and there is more of a global audience. I think the question is does the global audience care about cards? Because I know Europeans care about stickers. They don't care as much about cards. But the majority of the soccer card spending is in the United States. So, are people going to care enough about the World Cup? Are they going to care about it to buy the cards? I guess it's just kind of a wait and see. I'm interested in seeing what happens with it. Oh, the female ref. Yeah, that's right. That's right. I really hope that doesn't happen. That would be terrible, because it's like we may as well play with Jameis. Like we may as well just have Jameis. I don't think Jimmy G is any better. Maybe he makes some better decisions. Maybe he doesn't, frankly. I don't know. Let's, match up Jameis Winston's stats through the first 6 games or whatever he played, 7 games, up to Jimmy G, and it's probably better. Jameis already knows the offense. Nah. Yeah, I think it's going to be a team more like the Steelers that makes the splash for Russell Wilson. That would make more sense. It's a storied franchise. They Roethlisberger's leaving. That's kind of the perfect replacement. That makes sense. Yeah, I know that, Steve. I know that. What I'm saying is just the outfit looks like Spawn from the 90s movie. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. Well, frankly, there's a lot of veteran QBs. Like, where are they all going to go? There's a bunch of these guys. Is Carson Wentz out? Where's Jimmy G going? There's who are these? I mean, there's a bunch of guys kind of in waiting, where it's like, there's really good backup QBs in the NFL right now. It's like, are any of them going to get a shot anywhere? I don't know. There's only 32 jobs. Nice numbered. Herbert's only 1 Burrow. Should have bought this past offseason of Burrow. I thought about it too. That was a mistake on my part. I thought about getting some more Burrow. Not that I would have gone in heavy on him, but I bought the 1 Burrow at trade night at the National. I got 1 Burrow for $50. It's SGC 9.5 select rookie. But yeah, I mean, I would have bought, because I knew it too. I was like, you know what? He's good. Like, I know he's good, but I just wasn't, I wasn't prospecting as much. Guys, I just realized that I'm an hour and 40 minutes in. Jeez. All right, so I'm going to wrap up here at the hour 45 mark. So in 5 minutes, probably wrap it up. Yeah, Frank Gore. He just hasn't never done anything in the postseason. He's just got great stats, but just not that that's everything. But you're right. Like, I don't know. Nobody cares about, like, No one's trading Frank Gore rookie cards, at least that I know of. Oh, duh. Yeah, Justin Jefferson. God, yeah, that's insane. So they had Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, and Van whatever, that I can't think of his name, that plays for the Rams. Oh, Van Jefferson played at Florida? I thought that Van Jefferson was with LSU. Oh, I didn't realize that. My bad. Yeah, he's third or fourth. He's up there. Adrian Peterson's up there too. Oh, Mike. No teal on that Dave Winfield rookie? What were you even thinking? How do you even like that card? No chrome, no rattlesnake skin on it? Unbelievable. Well, you do you, Mike. 3 to 5 years. You think it's that long, Nathan? No, there's unlimited cards of everyone the last 3 years. Yeah. Yeah. Well, pops are kind of weird though, because you also do have, I know PSA is going to figure it out when they do the fingerprint on the card or they're tracking the card or whatever, but the whole like cracking, resubmitting thing, because you look at their pop report and it's like, how many nines did they crack to then try to get the 10 and it just came back a 9, it came back a 9, came back a 9. I think there was a lot of that going on, especially when grading cards was $10 or whatever. Yeah, no, that's what I've been doing, Dex. I've been looking at rare insert stuff on the football side that nobody is paying any attention to. It's stuff that is a case hit, or it's, 1 out of every 5 cases, the checklist, it's like, it's crazy and no one, cares about it, which is great because I'm picking it up. But for that type of stuff, I really don't care about the pop. But the other thing that's amazing too for football cards is that no one grades football cards. It doesn't matter. Like you can go and look at even like Baker Mayfield rookies. Okay, that's a 2018 player that was the number 1 overall pick. Compare his pop reports to Zion or Luca or I don't know, Acuna or any of these other guys. It's not even in the same realm. It's way lower. But they, I don't know. But yeah, no, I'm with you. Like I'm not as worried about pop on for that stuff. I don't even care about the grade. For these types of cards that I'm looking for, I bought one the other day. I was asking a message board actually that Dakota's on, Sports Cards Anonymous, and it had 2 creases on it. 2 creases on the card. I still bought it because it's like 1 out of 500 packs, and then there's 15 players in the checklist. You just don't see them, and it's like an auto mem card, signed football on the card. So anyway, yeah, no, I'm gonna send it off for grading. It might get a 1. And I'm not even worried about it. I just want to have it in a case. Yeah. Dave Winfield, catfish. Yeah, Gore is he's like the Tom Brady of running backs. Who dat? Who dat nation? Yeah. No, that's a good point. You saw like the worst game that he had. Me and Steve went to the Panthers Saints game and the Panthers blew out the Saints. It was one of those weird games. That was one of the 2 losses that Jameis had when he was 5-2. Other than that game, he looked pretty good. Jameis to the moon. I don't own any Jameis cards. I don't know. I talk him up. Maybe I should look into getting some of the Jameis stuff. I just don't know if he'll re-sign with us or what. I feel like if he's not playing with Sean Payton, though, if he's not starting for us, then I just don't know. I don't know how good he's going to be elsewhere. He's got to have a really good coach, I think. So I think Sean Payton really brings out the best in him. All right, guys. I'm going to wrap it up, I think. Time to buy Cameron Jordan rookies, right? Yeah, Cameron Jordan. He's been so good. You know, a guy I've been focused on is Bruce Smith, the all-time sack leader, and it's not even close. It's not even close, guys. I've been looking at a lot of Bruce Smith stuff. All right, you guys, thank you very much for joining me here tonight. That was the fastest hour, 45 minutes. There was 100, I think there was almost 150 people on the stream. So thank you very much for coming on just to watch me. I appreciate that. And it's just good hanging out and talking. I like doing these every once in a while just to mix it up with you guys and talk directly with you all. Tomorrow night, I'm going to be on Brad, the Comeback Card Investors show for our weekly Off-Centered with Dr. Beckett. I'm looking forward to that. We've got some questions we've got for him, and should be a good time. So definitely check out Off-Centered tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern. Otherwise, guys, have an amazing rest of your night. Again, thank you very much for tuning in. I'll be back again with one of these. Try to do these like once a week, one of these solo live streams, or maybe bring on one person or whatever. But anyway, thank you again very much. Have a great night. Stay healthy. Stay awesome. I'll talk to you again later.